Hello, hi, how are you? Long time no see, loads to catch up on, but first I would like to acknowledge the slapdash setup. An untidy desk, an unkempt appearance, frankly villainous lighting. I've even got my little spotlight here to try and add a bit of season 1 filter diffusion. Oh well, needs must, and I would say, given how long it's been, needs indeed must. Might be a long one, so if you haven't already, I encourage you to pause the video here, go and make yourself a cup of tea, and come back to settle in, but make sure you do come back, and obviously like press play and stuff, because if you don't, or if you click off and just don't watch the video entirely, well, I mean, there's nothing I can do about it, but I will know. YouTube's analytics will tell me, and they aren't very gentle about it. They say that moving house is one of the most traumatic things you can do in your life, and so with that in mind, maybe all of, this is explained by the 15 times I've done it in 10 years. We're joined by my friends, as is necessary for every single time we move, and the moving process has begun. Packed boxes, more boxes everywhere. I feel like the thing about moving house is you feel like I've made such progress, like between me and her indoors, we've got so many boxes here, so many boxes there, a whole bunch of boxes there, and yet I'm like, we haven't packed a single thing. We demonstrably have, it's just, I signed a 3-year lease in my last flat, and when it was coming up, we decided that the rent increase they were offering wasn't really worth it, so we found a new place for less rent with an extra bedroom. Hurrah! So we're in, we are on day 2. All the move happened yesterday while I was at school, and Wednesday and Thursday are the days where I do the fucking longest days you've ever known. So I have been precisely zero help. However, I'm trying to cook and make dinner. When I say cook, we had boiling the bag pasta yesterday. I've whacked a pizza in the oven today. Thrilled to know that the oven works, that's good, but since everything is in boxes and moving, unpacking, it's a whole process, you can't tell where anything is. We're sort of having to improvise. Eating this off this chopping board is like rustic, and you'd pay a pretty penny to be served on a chopping board in a gastropub, I would say. It all happened so quickly, really, which has sort of just left me with a really heavy brain. You know when you go into a room and it hasn't been opened in a while and it smells a bit fusty, so you try and air it out? I need a window to open in my head. But can I tell you how grateful I am for my friends? When I went to see the flat after we'd moved everything out and it was just completely empty, I basically fell apart. So I immediately text Chloe and Laurie and Ree, and they all came around and helped me do a big final clean and honestly just say goodbye to the place. Okay, so the oven is doing its thing. Got a little baggie down here with gross stuff in. How's it going in the bathroom department?
We're getting there.
Yeah, Ree has come to help like an absolute champion. Currently you are fully misted by the lime scale.
Fantastic. I'm just sensing.
It's like protecting your anonymity.
Yeah, I just like cleaning. That's my thing.
It's not out of a sense of friendship and helping.
No, I'm not a nice person. I just love a good clean.
The cavalry's arrived. What are you doing?
I've been told to put bleach on the mould.
Mould in the bedroom, which was a thing that I alerted them to, I'm gonna say 1.5 years ago.
I'm so glad you got to it.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing was that they told me it was dust.
It's just dust.
That dust has just been growing for a little while. I always resent trying to take it away, because I want them to know.
I can try and make it work.
Yeah. And then in here, there's a little box of things we weren't sure whether or not we were keeping, so Queen Chloe has come to investigate. I think it's all just...
This is good shit.
This is all in Welsh. Pokemon cards.
Pokemon cards.
I need this one. They kept offering to do jobs, but honestly, it was just sort of having their presence, hearing their voices, talking about frankly nonsense. Just them being there. That was all the comfort I needed.
Ready?
Ready to
Oh, wee! Oh, wee!
Fucking nonsense. Look at him. He's having the time of his little life. Go on, Dar. Have another go, Dar. Oh, yeah. I gave him a home for 3 years, and now it's time for him to return to the bin room. Guys, do you have any final thoughts on that? Anything to say?
I'm gonna miss him.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you want it?
No.
Oh. Off he goes.
It is just like... Yeah, you just want to stand up. But that seems too sad. I think we just stand him in the middle. Sunset Boulevard.
The one thing I I kept thinking about that whole day, as emotional as it was, God, I'm so lucky. And then as I took one final look around and, yes, had one final cry, I said thank you to the flat for looking after us and being our home. And then Chloe came round to the new flat and stayed with me for the night, and we watched our old A-level drama performance for comfort. And speaking of, as we watched Lysistrata, it was wild to look at 16-year-old Dan and think, oh, if he only knew. And I've needed that because this term we started with 6 more weeks of skills classes that built on what we learned in the first term, and I found them a bit of a whirlwind, honestly. I found it really hard. Cry but not too often, play but not too rough. It's so cold, it's not even funny. I'm fucking freezing. Excuse me, do you want to apologise?
Hi!
Do you want to apologise?
Dan, it's so nice to see you!
Yeah?
Merry Christmas!
Oh, fuck off.
So we're working on a little Q&A question and answer session to display the research we've done for a streetcar named Desire. And I'm only really telling you this because I just want to emphasize how long this fucking building is. I just nipped to the loo and I've upped my step count by about 15k, I swear to God. I'm nearly here. What's the question?
Oh, this is from Laura, who asked about different styles and what they fell in, what Tennessee Williams fell
exactly.
into.
That was it.
We're students. I think I expected myself to be utterly transformed by this course, like taken from raw material to polished diamond, but it's not exactly realistic in 6 weeks. It's not realistic in 12. It's not even that realistic in the BA course, who only get an extra 6 weeks of skills on top of ours, I do believe. So what I keep trying to remember is that my learning, that like honing of my craft, that whittling down of my skills to make me a steak that will drive to the emotional core of a piece. That's an alive thing. It's an ongoing thing. I will never stop learning. I will constantly need to take classes. I will constantly need to be polishing those skills off. And that's a joyous thing, really. These 6 weeks have been rough and I haven't totally been able to process or work out why. And that might be part of it. There hasn't actually been much time for reflection built in because the days have been so long. I think I also imagined we'd take what we learned in Skills 1 and like build on it. But instead what we've done is take those foundations and sort of deepen them and strengthen them. Whenever I talk about it with my classmates, I keep talking about like, I thought we'd be learning like this, and instead we're learning in this horizontal, this difference between vertical and horizontal learning. And I know what I mean, but I think I sound like a walking LinkedIn profile. That deepening is incredibly useful though, and in a couple of weeks we will start our proper book musical project. Oh, I'm so excited to like actually sink my teeth into working on something. Not that I haven't, appreciated and been grateful for these skills classes, but there is something about applying what you've learned that I think it's like learning on the job. It feels so different to just practicing a skill. But yeah, it's been real tricky. The other day I went and I watched my back to school vlog at the very start of the course to see how I felt then and compare it to now. Just trying to remember how I felt right at the beginning. And I was so full of pep and vim and vigor, and I do feel like it is harder to access aforementioned vigor right now. But they did warn us. I actually have a note somewhere from our induction weeks, and they gave us like the outline of how the course was gonna go. And I remember Merrin, the course leader, explicitly stating, this will be the hardest part of the term. They weren't fibbing. That's one of the things I do love about Mount View, to be honest with you, is how available the teachers make themselves for you, whether it's by email or in person. Last week I had a conversation with one of my tutors and I intended it to be like a quick sort of check-in. Oh, but I just let rip. I told her everything. And I'm really grateful that she didn't just be like, that was a lot, now go away. She really like sat with me. She like fully held space with all of my feelings. And we had a really good chat about how we process things, how we sit with certain feelings. And at the end of it, she just sort of went, is there anything more that you need from me? And I'll be honest, I just went full child mode. I just went, am I doing okay? And she was like, yeah. And I needed that, like, I just needed to hear it. I really want to be like such a together and like self-sufficient person, but sometimes you just need a little pep talk. And I'm so happy to give them out to everybody, but receiving them is so much harder. Do you know what I mean? I think it's important to share that while I'm having this hugely privileged experience, I'm chasing a dream, I'm answering my what if, it's been really fucking hard. And I'd be lying if I said those inner voices didn't have the upper hand. They're the voices that tell me, even if this course goes well, I'm not cut out for the business that's waiting for me at the end of it. Or I am an unremarkable person going into an industry built on remarkable people. They're telling me to drop out, basically. That is the thought. I'm gonna put words to it. The words drop out have circled in my head a whole bunch of times. I'm not gonna, but they've been there. Obviously I'm not going to. That is just pure fear talking. And I have had some really lovely wins in classes lately, like positive feedback, and I feel like I should not only be grateful for it, but also give those voices a bit more like volume than the saboteur voices. At least the same amount of volume. I've just always struggled with that. But the last time I told my inner saboteur to just like shut the fuck up for a minute, I got into mount view. So there's clearly something to it. That is one of the remarkable things about us as humans, isn't it? We keep going. We build each other up. We look out for each other. We find a way to keep going. And this time that I have right now, whether it's our old flat, our new flat, this experience at Mount View, this time is precious. This time is privileged. And I don't want to wish it all away. So, quiet, inner saboteur. Let's lift up the positive voices. On to the second act.